What if I told you you could sell the same amount of retail as you do services each month in your salon? Hi, I'm Kayla Swanson, and I'm your host of the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. And hanging out with me today is Kristie Leslie. What's up, Kristie? How are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so stoked to have you on today. So, if Kristie is a over 17-year owner of her salon, as well as the founder of the business of retail, where she told me before we jumped on that she has been able to reach 100% RTS, retail to service, in her salon, which blew my mind. I have not once heard that before, which is wild. So, Kristie, tell me a little bit about you, and let's dive into a little bit about you, how you're able to accomplish it, and a little bit about you before we jump in.
Yeah, you bet. I am literally just very, very, very obsessed with retail. I've always been in some type of a sales position. Growing up, I coincidentally sold box hair color at Shoppers Drug Mart. I sold shoes at Aldo and sold all of the extra insoles and the sprays and all of those add-ons that go with the shoes. I kind of always grew up in a sales world, and these last couple of years it's been so interesting, like evolving in my business and growing our retail brands in our salon company. And we did this fall, we hit 100% RTS in our salon, and it was just the coolest thing to see what is actually possible. And that for me was kind of the catalyst to launch the business of retail. It was a program that had been sitting on my desktop for over, I think it was over 2.5 years. I swapped out the headshots a couple times, just like wasn't brave enough to get it out into the world. And then when we kind of hit that peak this year, I was like, okay, I think I can help some people to increase, because knowing that the industry average sits around that 12%, I was like, this is different. We're doing something different here, and I think I can help some people. So I dusted it off and pulled it out, and moved past the point of just teaching it on Zoom for my friends' boot camps in their salons, and started to jump into some salons and kind of invite myself in. And so that happened in January. And here we are. So I'm still leading my salon team. I'm still behind the chair, still in the trenches one day a week with my clients, because I do love that corner of the salon business.
Yeah.
And now I spend kind of every second weekend in other salons, helping them to increase their retail. And we've had like just the wildest results. It's so exciting. Some salons have increased by like 65%. Some have doubled their RTS. And just to see the difference that it can make in people's business and in their overall profit and in their salon companies and in their team, it's just, oh gosh, it's been so fun. It's like my
So
passion project
rewarding.
that is, it's so rewarding and so fun. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I think it's cool when you realize that something's possible and you're like, man, I figured out a way to make this possible for other people, and getting to share that with the others is really incredible. So I'm happy that you're getting to do that and hitting the
Totally.
100 RTS. Like for me, I was like, well, it blows my mind, and how many people out there would love to know that that's possible for them too. Because
It
even like we have
is.
people in our academy who hit 50 to 60 RTS before, and they get up there, but then people are like, yeah, people
Mm-hmm.
cannot believe that it's possible. So I'm so excited to talk about that today. Kristie, what would you say, or like when selling retail, what are the really most important components when it comes to selling retail in your salon?
I think some of the most important pieces would be definitely the experience that we're creating for our clients, because there's a lot of excuses and little things and stories that we tell ourselves about, like, oh, my clients just buy it on Amazon, or they just go to Sephora, or they just go to Ulta, or they just go here or there. But the reality is that, like, we have the opportunity every single day to give something that those places cannot. We have this beautiful opportunity to create an experience for our clients, and that's something that's just it's so unique to us. And how many people in your life do you go to that you're that in that close of proximity? We're close to them, we're touching them, they're sitting in our chairs, we've got a couple hours with them. And so I think that, like, that experience piece is really, really, really important. The second thing I
Yeah.
would say is really important is just like your mindset and your attitude, and what you bring to the table with that. Because if you've got a great attitude towards anything in life, really, you're going to be successful with it. And if you have, like, kind of a stinky attitude, it's not going to go so well. So just having an open mind and an attitude, a great attitude, positive attitude, will make a huge difference. And I think the other thing too is, like, brand partnerships are so valuable and so important, and that can really make a difference in the success of the sales as well. Partnering with brands that align with your core values and really want to help your business grow, I think, is it's a game changer for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, just knowing that it's possible, knowing that, like, I love how you said about the mindset. And I love to debunk, like, I know a lot of people get like, I don't want to say sell anything. I got in the business to do
Yeah.
hair. I don't want to sell. Like, there's a lot of like stigma around like selling retail and telling, like, trying to get your people to buy more from you when they're already spending so much money on your hair. Like, how do
Oh
you
yeah.
handle those kinds of conversations when it comes to mindset and how to switch people into that it's not about that, it's about serving our clients?
Yeah. It's so cool when we move through the day of the business of retail, you literally see people's like their whole body language just shifts and changes as they kind of start to shift their mindset around it. I think like really just grabbing onto that idea of customer care. And the reality is like they're buying it anyway. If they have hair, they're using shampoo. We just want to let them know why they want to use our shampoo. And I want to educate them and tell
Yeah.
them why it's custom for their hair and why I'm recommending this. And but really like they're using it anyway. And if you use something and you love it, it's not hard to sell. You're not pushing it. You're recommending from a place of like, I know that this is going to help you. I know that this is going to help you achieve your goals. And we just did a team training this morning in our salon too with our associates, and we were talking about um, like the different boxes, and you know, you've got your different categories of different products that you're using. And marketing is a really wild thing because clients will go into any one of those stores, Sephora, Ulta, wherever they're going and buying their hair care, and they'll buy something because of the marketing and because it looks great or because it's pretty or it was marketed to them on TikTok or something like that. But then they end up with this graveyard of products underneath their counter, and then they don't use any of them because they're not the right ones for their hair. So really going back to that education piece and just talking about the why behind it, what I'm using, here's why I'm using it, here's why you're going to love it, so that they don't end up with that graveyard. And then that builds the trust, which in turn builds the loyalty, and then they love you, and then they're your biggest fan, and then it just kind of keeps the cycle going. But the trust is a big thing, and I think as hairdressers, we have to learn that we have to build that with them, and you have to build that credibility. But once it's there, it's a pretty cool thing that happens. It's a little bit magical.
Yeah. That's so cool. I can tell, I can feel your passion behind talking about all these things. Cause yeah, like what you said and how like when you're in the salon, like, yeah, you have somebody who touches your hair, knows your hair, has worked
Yeah,
with your hair. They are the most qualified to recommend the best product for you. I know like
totally.
every time I'm going to look for products, like you're looking at the reviews and people are saying, yeah, it worked for me, but nobody's hair is really the
Mm-hmm.
same. We all have different textures and different layers and curly and
Oh
straight. And
yeah.
there's so many different ways to approach our hair that, yeah, that product may have worked
Mm-hmm.
for you, but is it going to work for me? And so having somebody who is in there touching your hair, like that really is the best mindset for your stylist, your
Mm-hmm.
staff, your service providers to realize that they are the best people to recommend the best product if they put in the level of care into what that looks like, which is what I
Totally.
love what you just said.
Are you ready to increase your retention and revenue and convert website traffic to clients? Then you're ready for Maya. Maya creates better business relationships by pairing the right clients with the right beauty professionals. Use promo code HPSA for your first 2 months free. Visit joinmaya.com to get started.
When you're
Yeah.
going in, so when you're talking to salon owners, when you start to wanting to shift that mindset and like take a different
Mm-hmm.
approach to how they sell retail, how do you approach that?
We start off with like the stories that we tell ourselves, and what I like to call the head trash, because so much of it really just is trash that we got to take out the trash. You got to get rid of it. A lot of it is like my clients can't afford it. They don't want to buy from me. They think it's pushy. It feels greasy. It feels I every class, every salon we go into, we always get the like I feel like a used car salesman. And so just kind of like breaking down and debunking all of those weird stories that we tell ourselves, and just being like, is this actually true? Is this a fact? Or is this just something that I'm telling myself to, you know, protect myself from asking for the sale or from recommending?
Yeah.
And it's so cool too, because again, like people just they say it and they're like, oh yeah, no, that's weird. That's actually not true. Or and then they realize that there is a way to do it that feels good, that feels like easy. And that's kind of my tagline with the business of retail, is how to sell with ease and authenticity. And when you bring in that authenticity, it gets easy, right? We're not selling them something that they don't need. We're recommending from a place of care. And so that's a whole other approach too.
When you're diving into like when to like selling retail, does it matter like what they're selling in their salon? Does it matter how many products
No,
they like what your selection is?
no, we can work with anything.
Not at all. Really?
Yeah,
So
every
you're
brand
saying
is
that
so
like,
unique.
so whether you have a small selection or a whole store or,
Mhm.
7 different brands or a single brand, like you can come in and you can teach like whatever you want to have on like in stock in your salon, you can support them and helping them sell it because it's about providing for the people that you have in your salon.
Absolutely. And I think,
Yeah.
like I said, there's so much more success that happens when the brand is aligned with the salon. And more retail
Mhm.
doesn't, like more brands doesn't always mean more sales. Like we have 11 brands in our salon, and adding another one doesn't always mean more. It usually takes away from one, or you get a couple heroes in another brand, or some are really strong with their shampoos and their treatments, and some are really strong with their styling. So more doesn't always equal more. And I think when salon teams are again like aligned with them, it's so cool. You can do anything with any brand. And in being behind the chair for like almost 24 years, I've worked with most of them, touched most of them, and they're all really similar. They all kind of have a certain foundation,
Yeah.
and so we just dive into any of them. I love it.
Yeah, that is so cool. So because I know like a lot of it and knowing how to recommend the right product, it's being able to be very familiar with each product, each brand. And so when you're
Mm-hmm.
supporting the staff and getting to know the products and how to sell it right, like, do you have them like pick their, like, work with multiple different products? Like, how do you support the staff in knowing what each product is so then they do make the best recommendation for their guest in the chair?
We do a deep dive into consultation and just kind of asking the right questions to find out exactly what it is that the client is looking for. Um, I heard Gino Stampora say it when he was speaking on stage one year. This was many, many, many years ago. I think this was about 15 years ago. But he said, never let your teams tell you that they don't sell retail because they haven't had a product knowledge class. Because you can literally pick up any bottle of anything and read the back of the bottle, and it will tell you what it does. They all have
Okay.
descriptions. They all have the ingredients, kind of what it's about, what it's going to do. So we do a little bit of that in the day, and I'll demo that even just like as as the guinea pig myself, and just pick up a bottle of a brand that I don't know very well, and just read it. And I challenge my associates to do that in their downtime in the day, and I always kind of challenge that thing of like, how can you get better at what you're doing? How can you learn
Mm.
more? All of these brands also have like amazing online education. There are so many learning opportunities. Like you don't have to necessarily wait for that PK. So um, I support them and I help them to learn and be able to give better recommendations by teaching them that they don't necessarily need a product knowledge class. You're really only going to retain 20 to 30% that you learn in that couple hour PK class anyway. So
Right.
finding different routes and different avenues and trying it on each other, take it home and try it on yourself. Use the products yourself. Like you should be using what you're working with, because that's when you're going to love it even more and you're going to become more knowledgeable with it. But yeah, just like different routes, different ideas. Sometimes we just need fresh ideas to get
Yeah.
the juices flowing and look at things in a different way. So we do a lot of that in the day. We just find different ways of doing things, and just kind of makes people think a little bit different, which I think is cool.
Yeah, I love this is such a cool conversation because I love it's thinking about it and just like bigger. I think that a lot of people end up thinking like, well, yeah, they get stuck in their own way of like, this is how it is. And they can't
Mm-hmm.
break out of that and realizing there's different ways to look at it. Like you don't need, you don't have to have, yeah, all those education classes like, oh, well, I can't do
Yeah.
this or I don't have that. And so people put a hard stop on themselves because they're like, well, I can't do the X, Y, and Z. And so what I hear you
Mm-hmm.
communicating is it's like, you can do it, whatever resources you have, whatever products you have, what little or a
Totally.
lot of products you have and what availability you have, there is ways to look and be able to, yeah, read a label by just looking at it, like not having to necessarily use the product to know more about a product just by being able to read the label right, which is
Yeah.
really cool. I love what you're saying there.
We're Forest, born on the salon floor and built for and by hair and beauty professionals like you. Forest is your marketing, your reporting, your reputation management. You need one easy-to-use system that does it all. Forest, together we grow.
What do you do like when the staff are like, how do you encourage them to sell more retail? Like there's always like people are like, oh, I don't need to, or I don't want to, like, I just want to do hair. I don't want to sell retail. How do you support the staff in realizing how much more profit they could earn, how much more that they could do if they jumped on the train of realizing how beneficial it is to sell retail?
Yeah. I think it's really important to understand the why and what the benefit is. Like, what's in it for me, right? And a lot of that for stylists, sometimes they don't see or understand or know, or maybe there isn't also that opportunity set up. But, and this is where I'll support the salon owners as well, but there should be an income earning opportunity. And you know, some of the staff on my team earn over $1,000 a month in retail commission. So just like really like knowing what that carrot is for people too, and just being like, you know, what would $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, what would that do for your life? Would that be a new vehicle? Would that be a vacation for you? Would that be like a down payment on a house? What would that money, like, how could that affect and change your life? And if you have that opportunity, like, why would you not take it? And it's a big thing. Like if we can earn that, and also like seeing the level of loyalty that it builds with your clients too, and the trust that it builds. And you know, they take home one product and then they come back and they're like, oh my gosh, that product that you sold me, it actually worked. Like it did what you told me it was going to do. And then you're creating this new level and this new kind of ring around the customer loyalty circle of the reasons that they don't want to leave you, because they just love you. And when you get results for people, they're going to love you. They're going to send you referrals, and it just expands that everything out in your business behind the chair. It's such a big piece of it. And I think in salons, we've done retail not wrong, but we've been doing it a certain way for a really long time. And business has changed, service has changed, and we've got to evolve with that. And, you know, like you walk into the salon and what is at the front of every single salon? The retail. You go to the station, what's at the station? The products. You go to the backwash, what's there? Products.
More
right?
products.
What we're using. You go back and you do the finish and the blow dry. I mean, I can't do my job without the products that I'm using. So if I can't do it, how do I expect my guests and clients to replicate that, right? But then we go to the front after we've used all of these products and they've had this beautiful journey of retail throughout every single step of their journey, and we get weird about it, you know, and we're like, oh, do you need any product? Okay, bye. That's okay. See ya. Like, and we make it weird, and it doesn't have to be weird. It can be this really amazing thing where we can bring it into the consultation. We can care about what they're using in the shower. We can care about the results that they have, or what they're experiencing and what's happening with their hair. And we can really just like care a little bit more about it. And I think like that's why it's called customer care. That's why it's called hair care. And we've got to bring a little bit more into that, instead of just making it weird and giving the little piece out and see you in 6 or 12 weeks, right? So just going a little deeper and just doing it different. I think we just have to do things different. We've got to evolve.
We have to. And I think, that's such a good, I love the point that you just made about evolving and staying up, because it's, I mean, when people can buy anything off of Amazon, they can go buy anywhere else, like but also realizing that like Amazon, sometimes the products you aren't getting what you're paying for, and you're not getting like things that they can do anything. And there's so much out there, whether you're steering them the wrong way or they're going out there and trying to find for themselves. But people want to feel as good as they do when they walk out of the salon. They want to continue that forward. And there is a really big opportunity. It doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be a big conversation about selling them something. It's more, I love what you said earlier about like changing your mindset of, you're not selling them anything. You're contributing to them feeling beautiful and feeling amazing as they leave the salon up for the whole 12 weeks until they come back to touch up their color, whatever that looks like. Because I know for me, it's like, like I get my hair done and then I go home and I'm just like, man, my hair is not even looking the same. And it's frustrating. And then you're like, oh, I spent all this money, but I can't even maintain it. What's the point? And so there's a lot to realize that like, if we could just get out of our own, I love what you said, taking out the garbage, like get the head trash out of your mind, to realize that there's a different approach to it, and think that realizing that in serving the clients, you are serving them by recommending products that you are authorized or have the, you have the knowledge to be able to provide the best recommendation for them, instead of like, the Amazon reviews that you go and look at and try to make a best, a guess off of what is right based off of the price in a review, when that's not always the best thing for you, which I think is really, really such a good point that you made. And I hope as you're listening to this, that is really sinking in for you to realize that there is a whole different perspective that you can take with retail, that your staff can take with retail, that your service providers can. So I know a lot of people, they're like, oh man, I'm always nagging my staff. We ask this a lot. We talk about retail in different avenues, and people are like, well, I hate nagging my staff all the time. Sell more retail, and like just doing competitions and nobody really cares about it. And it's like, and I love what you said. Like having the care of like what, but it's also like what's in it for them, of helping them realize that there is like, if you put something some heart into this, there is an extra $1,000 a month. I know so many people who would love I'd love an extra $1,000 a month.
Right.
And it's just, and you add it in on, it's just an additional, like you're already doing the service, just add in these things, and it's not as hard as people think it is.
Are you still guessing what your color services are actually costing you? Guessing the cost of your services is eating into your profits. With Salon Scale, you can separate your parts from your labor and charge for every drop of color used. Stop letting your back bar drain your earnings. Click the link in the description to get 10% off of your first year or start your free trial today. Salon Scale. Profit starts with every mix.
We have so many systems of how we do things, right? And we build our salon businesses and we have systems. And why would we not have a system for this as well? Like, why would we not have a specific way that we do it and have a structure and have like a path that we follow and how we do things? And yeah, it's so cool when that shift happens and when people, you know, kind of flip that switch and do things differently, because it just increases and just expands everything. It's awesome.
And you would know, I mean, you hit 100% RTS. Like that's super crazy to even hit. But I haven't seen a lot of people even above 60, and even to be able to hit that, to know like making these changes, doing this work, and taking in the care. Like I love what you said earlier, hair care. It's caring for our clients and caring for their hair long past their appointment is really important, and realizing that it's possible. And I think for hopefully you just knowing that it's possible to reach that amount will help motivate you to realize that if you just do a little bit more digging, or find the people, or find resources like Kristie who can come in and support you in doing it. If you can't figure it out on your own, find somebody who can come in and support you, because it is possible to be able to make it not a hard thing, not have to drag your feet. A fun part of like, man, like we got to serve all these clients, recommend products, and then we get back to their, you know, they come to your next appointment 6 to 12 weeks later, and you're like, wow, your hair is still looking so healthy and so good. Because how fun is it to work on somebody's hair that's continuously healthy, rather than having to repair constantly because people are putting the wrong products in their hair, which is what one of my stylists said when a long time ago, that they're like, can I recommend some products, because you keep coming in and your hair is just getting unhealthier. And I was like, please solve that problem for me. And I didn't know, I didn't realize how using the wrong products was so damaging for my hair based off of what my hair type is.
And I think as hairstylists, we assume that people know the same things that we do. And we forget like that knowledge is really valuable to people. And the more that we can teach that to our clients and pass that down, like how to properly shampoo your hair, how to use a mask, how to use a dry texture spray. And when our clients can recreate that at home and feel that feeling, because like you were saying before, like it's a feeling. Leaving the salon is a feeling, and they want to experience that after. And also just like, again, that circling back to that partnership, right? Like it really is a partnership of how you maintain your hair at home is how is going to affect it hugely, and when you come back and how it looks and how it feels, and if you're achieving your hair goals and dreams. And it's huge. Like I see my clients for a couple hours, but then they care for their hair for months in between. So I praise my clients when they take excellent care of their hair, when they use their masks, and when they, you know, use their shampoos that are meant for them, and their serums and all that kind of stuff, because it makes such a difference. They come in and their hair still looks beautiful. They're still getting compliments the day before they come in. So it's a partnership for sure.
Which leads to more reviews, which leads to recommendations, which leaves them feeling good long term. Like stepping back and seeing the bigger picture. If you put more intentionality into how it's not just about selling retail. Like raising your RTS is not just about like you got to sell more retail. It's about realizing, like you said earlier, the feelings, experience, and the right tools to be able to serve them, and realize that you're supporting them long term. You're full rounded supporting them, so that in and out of your salon, and then it's going to support your salon to grow. Think of the profit that would come into that, and just growing your business, because you're well-rounded as a whole salon, serving your people, which is hopefully why you opened your business in the first place, to be able to serve people and help them feel as beautiful as they possibly can, which I think is really powerful.
Ready to transform your business and improve your salon's profitability? With Lonza's 3-in-1 technology and intermixable shades, your hair color inventory is streamlined with limitless creativity behind the chair. Click the link below to unveil the secret to salon success.
Kristie, I would love to know, I always love asking because I think it helps people really relate. What are some mistakes or some things that you've seen where you see people making these kinds of mistakes? I think that sometimes it helps people be able to relate and be like, oh yeah, those are mistakes that I am making, as you've supported people through the journey of being able to sell retail better. What are some things that you've seen while you've been down these roads?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, One thing that's always a really big light bulb moment in the programs when we're in salons for the day is when we take a step back and realize that it's not about us. And I think as humans, we really we want to share our experiences. We want to share oh, I love this and this is my favorite and I love this so much. But really I think that that's a lot of where the disconnect happens and where clients kind of check out because it's not about me. It's about my guest. It's about their hair. It's about their needs, their struggles, their goals. It's not about me at all. So I think there's a really fine line between relatability and relating to your client and kind of connecting in that way. But at the end of the day, it's a human response. We get into this where we talk about ourselves and we make it about us. And I think that a moment that changed so much for me behind the chair was when I sat down and I intentionally made it all about my client. And I was very aware and conscious and stopped talking about myself and stopped talking about things that I loved or what I was, doing or using. And that is where the magic started to happen. And just asking people how can I give you the best experience you've ever had in a salon today? What would make today great for you? What can I do today that's just going to make this an exceptional experience? And just really connecting and learning what people need. I think that would be the biggest one for me. That's the golden nugget right there. It's just it's not about you. And that's such a hard one to hear. And people are oh, stick a knife in my heart. Right. But truly it is about the client, and they're coming in and they're paying for our time, and they're paying for our expertise, and they're paying for that service, and they want to be taken care of. And I think if we can just step back, take ourselves out of it, and just really focus on them, I think that increases the value of the service immensely.
Yeah,
it's huge.
for sure. And if you're listening, you're I think about them, I know what it's about them, I would invite you to just take a look at yourself again and just be okay, but look at all the areas and every step of the whole service that you're doing, every step of the way. And maybe you are in some ways, and maybe you think, and there's a little bit of give and take, oh, well, I've had this client for 20 years. It's we're just having conversation now. Yes. But even realizing that sometimes we stop treating our 20-year long clients as good as we treat our new clients, and realizing that staying up to date, because things change, people's change, taste change, and being able to realize that even though you've known them for 20 years and you guys are really good friends and you know so much about each other, realizing that even showing up for them as you still are their service provider, you still are, they want you to show up for them and recommend a different product or try something new, or just people don't always want to stay the same. And sometimes people, their hair changes as they're getting older, the weather, things like that. And being able to take a step back and think am I really showing up for my guest in my chair the way that they want me to, rather than you showing up in the way well, this is who I am as a service provider and this is how I show up to all my guests, it's who I am. Or stepping back and realizing, how can I show up for my guests for the way that they want to receive, the way that they need, showing up in their world and what's going on in their life, and using that mindset to just start the flow of how to get to a point when hopefully you'll get to a point where retail recommendation and selling retail and all that stuff is just, it happens so naturally because you were just, it's a part of how you serve your guests in your chair.
Yeah. And making it a part of what you do, including it in the service all the way through, and just making it a part of who you are. And then it's not going to be a strange foreign thing. Right. It can be easy. I think that's the biggest thing, is just know that it doesn't have to be hard. It can be easy. It can move with a really beautiful flow. It can be easy. So yeah. And it's that's good amazing. When it is. It's really good.
You're right. I know I can feel when you've been able to reach it and realize how easy it can be. And if you're listening to this, you're I don't agree, I don't get it, I will be putting Kristie's information in the description. So you can check out more of what she's doing, follow her page, so you can get more of her tips and tricks on how to just boost your retail and get to that point when you too could say, I sell 100% RTS every single month, doing the same in retail as you're doing in services, would just be a monumental number to hit. And it is possible. And even if you double your retail, how many of you would love to double your retail out there? Being able to make shifts, make any kind of shift to just help and realize that it's not necessarily about selling retail, it's about serving your clients and changing your mindset around what it looks like and how how promoting your retail, how integrating retail into every step of your service to your guests is such an important part of elevating how you even approach retail in your salon, which is really, really incredible. So thank you so much, Kristie, for hanging out. Do you have any more gold nuggets to give to our audience before we kind of wrap up here?
Oh, another golden nugget. I will share, this is a nugget. So the stat recently moved. I think it used to be 80%, and now I think it just shifted into that 90% zone. But 90% of stylists say that they give a consultation, and 90% of clients say that they don't get a consultation.
Wow. So
my nugget and recommendation there is to just really like do a little check-in, take a little look in the mirror, and just check in on are you making it about you, or are you making it about your client? And dig a little deeper into the consultation, because I think we find things that we didn't see before, and that can be life-changing for a client. And I think that's what what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They're waiting for it.
Wow.
So much opportunity.
Yeah, because if you think about it, unless their products are all full and they really don't need any, there's no reason why each guest that comes into your salon should not be walking out with a product or two that they need to help their hair stay as beautiful as it is as they walk out. And I know that's where I'm at. So hopefully you got a lot of value out of this. Thank you so much, Kristie, for hanging out. This has been such a good time.
Thank you for having me.
And any time. It was such a blast hanging out with you, and good luck with everything. I'll put all her information into the description of this podcast. You can go back. Don't do it while you're driving if you're driving while you're listening to this, but you can check it out and follow her on social media. And we'll see you next time on the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Thanks, Kristie.
You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at ProfitableSalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.